On today's episode of The Dodger, we have some guests that don't need an introduction or shouldn't need an introduction based on how epically known they are in Northeast Wisconsin. It's not our typical sports guests as we normally have on here, but I think if you enjoy music and are from specifically Wisconsin, you will know this band. It's Boogie and the Yo-Yoz. We talk everything between their music, life, and everything in between. Let's go.
Welcome to the Dad Show. Dad Sports Life. Let's go.
So we'll start with the easy one. So, at what age and how did you guys each individually get into music growing up?
Oldest first.
All right, I guess that's me. Damn it. Eric Peters. Well, it's been a while since we've been in a band for 31 years, so I have to stretch my memory back even further than that. Musically, I would say that I discovered my mom's Monkees records. And truth be told, we had this little turntable in the house, and I picked up this thing. It looked pretty cool. These guys all sitting in a row, and I'm like, the Monkees, they spelled it wrong. And then I put it on the turntable, listened to it, and thought, wow, what is this? And really kind of fell in love with that combo music, drums, guitar, bass. And then light shone on me one day, and I found the Beatles albums, and that really just hooked me. And then I at a very young age was turned on to the Beatles, and then the Michael Jackson era came into play. Yeah, that's how old I am, and really liked Michael Jackson and what he was. So you go from oldies and the Beatles into at the time contemporary pop, which was Michael Jackson, and then in the background I got my dad blaring Neil Diamond music, and so just. Granted, it was all rock and pop, but it was just from one end of the spectrum to the other, and never really got into like the heavy metal or anything like that at that age, even though Poison and bands like that were coming out. That came later in life for me. But then I decided I wanted to be in band in high school, and picked up tried out on a trombone and went, yep, that's the one for me. Don't ask me how, don't ask me why. Fortunately, it was a C instrument, so that opened a few doors to me being able to read some music, and started taking guitar lessons in the 4th grade, and just all in all fell in love with music. And I was always kind of a bit of a ham, so really enjoyed being in front of people. So if I could do both, make people laugh and enjoy themselves and play music at the same time, it was the greatest feeling I've ever had, apart from my wedding night maybe. or when my kids were born.
Yeah, so I guess I'll go next. My introduction was probably a little more casual. I mean, it was started on piano at a young age and did not stick with it, and dropped out of that by like maybe 4th or 5th grade, and then got to middle school and started on clarinet of all things, and decided I didn't like that and switched over to saxophone. So I played saxophone all through junior high and high school. And then in high school, some friends of mine were getting into guitars and starting bands, and they needed a bass player. I'm like, all right, I'll do that now. And I went and I took my birthday money that March, and went down and rented my first pearl white Lotus bass guitar from the then Gilmore Brothers Music in Appleton. And that's what started it all. It was something all my friends were kind of into, and I kind of thought it sounded like fun. And of all the guys in high school that I kind of started knocking around with doing this sort of thing, I'm the only one still doing it. And I just kind of fell in love with it, really liked it. It kind of spoke to me. It scratched a part of my brain that I liked, and continued that on into college. Started out actually as a music education major, but then had switched, graduating with an arts management degree.
Well, I guess in order of age, that would put me next. So, my whole thing started. My older brother was a musician. I guess he still is, but he doesn't play that much anymore. He was in a band. He was about 6 years older than I am, and he was in a band in high school. And so they would practice at our house, and he was a bass player, like Dave, and so. But I was always drawn to the drummer. I was like just in awe of the drums, and they would play like songs by, Rush, and like when I first saw Rush, it was like, oh my God, like this is awesome. And like, so they would leave the drum set up at our house. And so when they weren't there, I would just go down and sit on them and smack on them a little bit, I guess. So then 5th grade came around, joined band, did drums all the way through school and stuff. And, halfway through high school, got more serious about it, saying, okay, the two things that I kind of wanted to do in my life, I either wanted to be a pilot like my dad was, or I wanted to be a musician like my brother was. And I decided to go the music route. And so like Dave, I went to school to become a music educator, a band teacher. And like Dave, also discovered that wasn't the route for me. So changed paths a little bit, but always been playing drums, and stumbled across these guys in about 2022 and been doing it ever since.
So what you're saying is Jake's the only one on here that followed through. No,
Yeah,
I guess so.
Yeah, he's the only one that can commit.
Well, my parents, I wanted to go for performance, and then my parents said, well, we're not going to help you out with college at all if you don't get an ed degree. It's like, all right, well, we're going to do both, performance and music education. And I'm glad I did, because I always knew teaching would be part of the equation. As a musician, you have so many different income streams. It's called the income puzzle. I'm like, all right, well, I might as well start with some strong pieces of that puzzle. And yeah, it's been great. I started in 5th grade, kind of like everybody else. It was just kind of something that I thought everybody did. It was like, the kids in the class ahead of me, everybody was in band, everybody got an instrument, and they were all excited. And I was so jealous that I had one more year to wait. And then finally it was my turn. And then all my friends, we all signed up together, and just kind of carried it through. All my friends stayed in music. I stayed in music. And then, my senior year was, I got to play with Jeff Coffin, saxophone player for Dave Matthews Band, and his level of mastery on the saxophone, I'd never heard anything like that played like that before. I was like, I want to do that. So that's what kind of started me on this route. And kept doing it now.
So I started getting into music mainly because I have an older brother. He was always playing guitar, and he got the recorder 4 years before me. So I picked up recording, like literally the recorder, not like recording skills like that. So I learned a lot from him, just going through stuff. And I went through the school band. I was a percussionist, and then picked up a whole bunch of instruments. I guess I always knew I wanted to be a teacher, but I wanted to be a math teacher until about high school. And then about halfway through high school, I realized math kind of sucks. So I would be a music teacher instead. So I kept going with the music path and went on to college and met Jake. And I was still a percussionist back then, as I guess I am a percussionist still now. But throughout the years, picked up more instruments, started singing, playing guitar more, and then eventually learned the trumpet and found my way into this group over here.
Yeah, you guys, so like the guys who had played instruments prior, so like Eric and Dave, can you guys still play, what was it, clarinet and trombone?
We'll go with sax for Dave because, well, I've only seen him play the sax. I had no idea about the clarinet, Dave. That's awesome.
Yeah, that lasted about a year and a half. So yeah,
So Kevin, put down the song "When I'm 64" by the Beatles. That we should do that one then. Huge clarinet solo.
But the only
was just
reason I
gonna
ask
say
is because John and Jake, they're kind of the jack of all trades and like random instruments you guys needed played.
Well, yes, and they both filled roles that we've had in the past where we've had kind of like a utility player. What's cool is that these guys have really developed, and they're both equally talented utility guys. They can really do anything. There has been times back in the day where I'd jump back on the drum set. Kevin would play piano. We've done songs where Dave has played saxophone. People have switched. Dave would come up front. We used to do lowrider. I would play bass, and Dave would sing lowrider. I play trombone on stage up until recently. Maybe might want to dust that off again. Hint, hint, wink, wink, nudge, nudge. But I've played piano. What's cool is nobody in the group is ever afraid to try something cool, new, and different. We always kind of prided ourselves on being enough of a musician, well, an entertainer / musician that, I mean, it's just rock and roll, right? But we could go around and people have always been able to say, I'll give that a try, or I'll do that. It's been really a cool experience since day one, to be honest with you.
Yeah, so let's talk about day one. This will be more towards Eric and Dave here, obviously, but what was the first song you guys ever played at a live show as Boogie?
Trick question. Boogie or Cornerstone or Yogi and the Boo Boos, because they're all the same band.
The first band that you guys started together. We'll go with that one.
I'm trying to think. Wasn't the first one? I mean, the first show, wasn't that your cousin's wedding or something like that?
Yeah, my first cousin once removed her wedding. Yes,
at the Jarboy Club, I think.
Yes, no, Van Abel's. Van Abel's. Yeah.
I don't know if I remember the first song. I mean, I know there was On the Dark Side was on the list. Down in the Corner was on that old list. I
thought it might have been the medley, the Taking Care of Business, Pretty Woman, All Right Now medley.
Yeah, did that start as a medley? And maybe it did.
Yeah. Yep. And the only reason I know that is because I kind of borrowed that medley from some other band that we all know and love.
I don't know what you're talking about. Yeah, so I mean, I don't know that I could put a pin on that first song of the first night, but I know where it was and a couple that were on the list.
Yes. I was gonna say it's either that or On the Dark Side, but yeah, because On the Dark Side was probably one of the first songs that we learned as a band, and because we had a sax player, and I thought it would be fitting that our first practice we should learn something that he actually does something in.
That might have actually been the first song of the night.
That could be. We'll go with that.
We'll call it that. Right. That's what it was.
It sounds like you rebranded a couple times. I guess what was the biggest obstacle when you guys first started the band the first couple years, and how did you eventually get the name Boogie and the Yo-Yoz to stick?
I would say from my perspective, one of the biggest challenges was we wanted to get very, very far and be very well known in a very short period of time, just like anybody, right? You want instant gratification. But we found out that it definitely takes getting kicked around and paying your dues and earning your way to better shows and nicer crowds and things like that. I don't know. Dave, you want to fill in the blanks a little there?
Yeah, I mean, I can kind of take a stab. Feel free to jump in, Kevin or Eric, with any of the actual real historical stuff. So, I mean, we started, in that June of '95 under the moniker of Cornerstone, oddly enough. That lasted a couple of months. And some advice from some other people and local folks that we knew were thinking it should be a name in the somethings. And we had, at the time, Brian Yogerst was our drummer. Everybody called him Yogi since he was a little kid. And the natural succession of that was just kind of Yogi and the Boo-Boos. We did that for a while. And we're starting to get a little bit of traction. And then we got enough traction that the executives at Hanna-Barbera somehow noticed us, this little band from the Fox Valley in Wisconsin, and sent us a cease and desist letter, which I think Eric still has framed somewhere.
Sure do.
From their group of lawyers. So all of us 19, 20-year-olds getting a nasty gram from the legal team of a large corporation. We didn't really know what to do. And I mean, it was kind of flattering that, hey, they kind of heard of us. And it turned into...
We could tell you the exact date too. I'm not going to let you know the exact date, but I'll let you look it up because it was the same day that Chris Farley passed away. And the reason I know that is because we had the headline in the Appleton Post-Crescent: local band gets tuned out by large company, and the sidebar was Chris Farley dies.
Yeah,
I couldn't believe it.
Yeah, we were above the fold on that one. And yeah, so then we talked to a friend's dad who was a lawyer, kind of told us, yeah, copyright trademarks, very specific. If you chose to fight it, you might even win, but they have a lot more money and a lot more time and a lot more people than you do. So just go ahead and change the name. We wrote them back, said we are not the typical business that you can just go and change the name on the front door. We've got t-shirts and promo packs and this and that and shows coming up, and can we have until the first of the year? And they said they agreed. They said, yes, you can go ahead and do that. And then 3 names were floated by the membership at that time, and we turned it into a gimmick for New Year's Eve, and let the audience pick the name.
We actually had a little help from the Post-Crescent. A lot of people were writing in what they thought our name should be. And actually, one of the name that actually garnered the attention was someone suggested just flipping the B and the Y around. So we did.
Yep. So Yogi and the Boo-Boos became Boogie and the Yo-Yoz.
That's fantastic. So this one will be not for the OGs. So to join the band, what does that interview process look like? And I mean, the OGs, you guys can weigh in too, because I'm sure you guys are the ones conducting it.
Well, let's let the young guys talk first, huh?
Sure. Well, I'll jump in first, and then John can probably tell his story. But mine was I attribute it to a mutual friend of John and I. His name is Malachi Flynn. Phenomenal guitar player in the area and plays with a lot of bands. Another good college friend. But I was just sitting in a practice room at UW Stevens Point, shedding away, running scales or whatever, practicing for the next jazz ensemble concert. And he comes knocking on my door. He's like, "Hey, have you heard of the band Boogie and the Yo-Yoz?" Like, "Yeah, I've heard of them before." He's like, "Well, they just put a post out on Facebook. They're looking for a saxophone/guitar player." It's like, "I think you should do it." And Malachi is also a really, obviously a phenomenal guitar player, but he was in the saxophone studio at the time as well. He was kind of doing both, but he was kind of gravitating more towards guitar and was starting to kind of drop the saxophone side. And he's like, "Well, it seems like they want a saxophone player first and then a rhythm guitar." So he offered it to me first. He's like, "You should reach out." I'm like, "Well, that was very nice," because he could have just taken the gig and ran, and it would be him in this interview. So if he ever watches this, he's probably gonna be like, "Dang it." But I'm super appreciative of that. So then I just reached out and I said, "Hey, I can do these things that you're looking for. Give me a shot." And then Eric sent me an email right away, and it's like, I don't know if it was that weekend or the next weekend. It was like February. We got a wedding coming up. If you're really interested, learn these songs. And he sent me like 8 or so, but I was like, I'm gonna freaking do this. So I learned the whole set list. I learned it, memorized it in the week and a half, 2 weeks, whatever it was. I'm like, I'm gonna freaking get this gig. So I made sure I was prepared, and I think I probably asked some questions. What do you mean by this? What do you mean by that? What do you want? So then by the show, I was as ready as I could possibly be. And that was my goal. And they're like, all right, well, you want to do it again? Yup. That'd be great. They fed me some more tunes, and they kind of like slowly weaned me into it, and now here I am still doing it.
Thank God. Because if Malachi would have been the selection, I'd be out of a job.
Yeah.
I would like to add,
No.
I remember Jake practicing in college and listening to what I now know is Kevin's vocal tracks that I also have to listen to. But I remember listening to your part of Africa, and all of us in college were just dying of how ridiculous it sounded.
Thank you.
I think
Yeah,
you
you're
sound
fine,
great.
Kevin.
I was gonna say ridiculously good, or
No, Kevin's practice tracks are notably really funny to listen to sometimes, because it's
But
just
remarkably
like
on
the
pitch.
one part that you need to hear, and not necessarily good tone, or like, and not musical. It's just what you need to hear.
It's not that you sing the wrong notes, Kevin. It's just that you.
No, I'll wear
There's more utility than art in them, but they're wonderful and effective.
Yes, wonderfully effective.
So, John, was your introduction kind of similar to that as well?
Well, I guess similar in a way of Jake. Jake and I play in a band off to the side of this as well, where I play original music, and I play guitar and I sing. And I was, at the time, I was actually playing on the street in Appleton. I was busking a lot. Basically every weekend I'd go and play guitar on the street and sing and make a couple $100 that way. And then Jake said, hey, we have a spot for a trumpet player that can also play guitar and sing. And I was like, well, I could do two of those things. I don't know about the trumpet. This was right when I started teaching band, and I knew how to play the trumpet well enough, I guess. But I was like, sure, I'll take a stab at it. I sent in my audition video. I think I played Come On Eileen. But I also like did my John shtick of, I had a loop pedal and I sang multiple harmonies, and I had trumpet and I played guitar and I did percussion at the same time. And I would like to think the trumpet skills weren't what sold it. It was more the
It was your IT
recommendation
skills.
of it was the what?
Your IT skills.
Yeah. Well, that, and it probably the recommendation of Jake, and then I also I taught Eric's kids in band class as well, so I also like to think that there's Eric's own kids gave me a good recommendation. So
That is a fact. That was a true story.
I was gonna go the other way with it. You kind of held it over his head, like, "Hey, either I'm in this band or your kids are failing."
That would have been a way to go, but
Yeah, not necessary. Not necessary. This time. I still have another kid to go through, but she didn't decide to take band.
yeah, I mean, we've kind of had various processes over the years. Everything from in-person cattle calls to submitting videos ahead of time and then putting him in the hot seat in front of a live audience. We've kind of done a number of different iterations. Kevin, what was yours?
I have a good story about that. So I'll be
I
brief.
remember.
But so the first time I heard of Boogie and the Yo-Yoz was actually their saxophone player at the time was a friend of mine in college. His name was Andy Pagel. And when their drummer Brandon Hayes was leaving, there was an opening, and he recommended that I go try out. And I said, well, I don't know. I just joined this polka band and I'm having a lot of fun. Basically, all those guys do is drink and, have a party though every week. So I actually turned down the audition for Boogie and the Yo-Yoz because I was in a polka band. And that is something I'll wear for the rest of my life. And so I referred gave the referral to my friend Tim Patterson, who was also a college classmate, and he took the job back in 2000. And so 2 years later, Tim was going off to grad school in California, so the job was open again. And this time, I'm like, all right, I've seen what you got, because I'm sorry, I went to go see Tim play with them. And I'm like, okay, I want that. That's what So when the job came open again, I went to see them at ICC in Wapaka, and they said, yeah, we'll have you come up and play one with us on stage. And I said, oh, okay. Well, I mean, I'm going to be nervous, obviously. And how do you cure nerves? Well, you drink a little bit, and I drank a little bit, and I went up
remember
and
that night.
yeah, I went up and I played "Smooth" by Santana with them, and let's just say it didn't go great, but I think they read a little bit into he probably had a few cocktails, and they agreed to still give me an audition. So that wasn't my audition. That was just the initial, I don't know, meet and greet kind of a thing. And then they gave me an official audition where I got to go to their practice location and actually learn some songs and be sober and and play those songs for them. And then I got the gig in 2002, and here I am 24 years later. So
there we go. So since we're telling stories, I don't mean to, if Paige, if you listen to this, I'm sorry. I don't mean to call her out, but I remember, I believe it was a concert in Nino like 2 years ago. It seemed like she might have not been feeling well. Like she kept going off stage, coming back on. She still ended up killing it when she actually sang. So like, have you guys ever had individual performances where you may have had to fake a little bit and rely on the rest of the band to pick you up?
I got one. Kevin, you'll enjoy this one. Hey, Kevin, I broke my ankle once.
What? You did?
Really? It's not like we heard about that for 3 months.
Well, it's an inside joke, but Kevin to this day gives me crap, or like I give Kevin crap because I broke my ankle, and he was the only one in the band that didn't come up and see me or say anything about it. But anyway, we did a show where I didn't want to cancel, so I sat on stage in a wheelchair with my foot elevated and somebody working my pedal board while I was playing guitar. I think there's one in particular that stands out to me, and Dave, I'm going to call you out here, but it was pretty much it stands to be a testament of what a band actually is to each other regarding family. And then I'm going to call one other member out after this, but the night that Dave's dad died, Dave played a show, and then and we talk about it. It was I can only guess that it was therapeutic, or day after, but still it was tragic, and then I'm going to call Kevin out. Same. The night before, or the night of, or day of our Christmas show, I remember getting the news that Kevin's mom had passed away, and we did that show. And the support that we give each other and the true family that this band is and continues to be is the reason that I personally am 50 years old, still going to be 51 in a week, still in a band playing. And it's not because of the music anymore. It's because of the family that I have around me every night. So sorry, guys, I didn't mean to take your thunder or anything like that, but that to me stands out as some of the most, just incredibly touched by those guys and pulling together and then still going out and making people happy that night, despite the inner anguish, it's unfathomable. I don't know. I can't say enough about it. I'm stumbling over my words. Somebody else talk.
I think a lot of it is that we've all over the years had various examples where, maybe we're a little sick, maybe we had an injury, maybe we had a family issue, and we all kind of like do our best to rally to, not only be there and have that support for ourselves because we have our comrades around, but then also to make sure that we're not letting down the other 7 or now other 8 people, plus the crew and then the fans that were going to be coming out. I feel like we all kind of have a sense of responsibility in that way as well. I mean, Jake, you played in a boot for, not to be from Canada, but you had a boot for a while, if I remember right.
Me?
Oh no, that was Tristan I'm thinking of.
Yeah.
Tristan had the boot. Eric, I remember one time Eric had some nasty illness and spent the set break sleeping behind the drum set, and then we took him to the ER the next day. We've all had family things or illnesses or this and that. I think I remember the show you referenced before, the Nina one. It was ungodly hot, and we were all on the struggle bus that day. And but then you turn around, you do your job, and make it work for the fans and for your bandmates.
Yeah, I can speak to. I think I can. I don't know, unless you want me to get her and have her talk about it. But Adam, the show you're referring to, and I believe when you first reached out, Adam, you were talking about one of the things you were saying is like how we do this with our families too. So one of the hardest things about this job is the balance of family, and especially in the summer, our schedule is so crazy. Like, so every member of this band has a family at home. When they're gone on the road, their family is left with kids or whatever they have back at home, and that's hard on them. And so for Paige and I, obviously, we're both in the band, and we have a daughter. And so that show you're referring to, I remember it very well, was the end of our summer tour, pretty much end of August. So we've been through a lot, and our child is at that age where it's getting really hard for us to both be gone that much. And so, pardon me, it really hit her that night. And so that's what she was going through that night. It was pretty much like a stress issue of child care for shows and stuff like that. And so, yeah, it was not a good time, but we found it actually is the reason that we decided to find a new balance with scheduling and cutting back just a little bit and not killing everybody like with too many shows in the summer. It was because it was either that or we lose Paige, and well, you lose Paige, you lose me too. So I decided let's just find a balance here. So
yeah, I mean, it honestly is somewhat similar to like a professional athlete. Like I legitimately just had former offensive tackle Rob Havenstein on, who played for the Rams for 13 years. But like, I was talking to him too, like, and it's probably the same with you guys for your especially your guys' summer schedule. Like, how do you find that balance? Because like I told him, even sometimes myself, like I have a very small window from when I get home from work at 5 and my kid goes to bed at 8, so that there's only 3 hours during the work week that I'm like, it just feels like it's never enough when you have kids. So how do you guys find that balance?
My wife is a saint. I've got 3 kids, all of which active in sports, and I have a son who's playing collegiate baseball right now in Oskaloosa, Iowa. I have a daughter who's playing collegiate softball in Gurnee, Illinois, and I have a 14-year-old daughter because my wife and I are stupid. I'm just kidding. We have a 14-year-old daughter who is also very active in sports and going to tournaments on weekends and things like that. It's divide and conquer. I mean, it was divide and conquer when it was, off season for us, and in the summertime, it's brutal. But I'm very blessed in my household that my children really, really like the fact that I play in this group with these people. In fact, my daughter Ella has been able to come on stage and sing a few times. at our Christmas show, and she loves everybody in this band. So that makes it a lot easier because they understand. And in fact, my youngest is the one that said, "Dad, you're not allowed to quit this band ever." I'm like, "Why do you say that?" She goes, "Because my friends think it's really freaking cool." Like, that would not have been cool when I was your age, but okay.
I mean, yeah, I was gonna say, if that's not a vote of confidence, I don't know what is.
Right.
Yeah, I think we're all, I mean, even of the five of us here, we're all in the various stages that you could have of it. So I'm a near
Empty
empty
nester.
nester with my one child who just rounded out her second year of school in Milwaukee. Eric is right in the middle of the tail end. Kevin and Paige, Mila is 7,
8. Yeah,
8. So they're starting to get into a little bit easier. I know that we had, my wife and I, and mostly my wife, because I was the one that was gone. It was the hardest work when the kid was the youngest. You know, when they need more attention, they need more maintenance, they need more this, that, and they're always going off to this place and that place, and they get to be a little bit less work as they get older. so there's a long period there where it's very tough. It's a lot of work, and John is right in the throes of it with a very young child. And I assume Jake's probably just practicing at this point. So
hard work. You know me, I'm a musician. Always practice.
Practice makes perfect. So
That's right.
With all those girls chanting his name, I don't know.
Into it.
Wear earmuffs. Be safe.
That's right. Always wear hearing.
So I don't know if Kevin is in the middle of the mid, and John is the beginning of the bid. If you guys want to add anything.
Yeah, John, you have anything to say? Your child is not even 1 year old yet, right?
I mean, it's always about finding the balance, like they all said. I think what really helps my schedule out is both my wife and I are both teachers. So with the heavy season for Boogie being the summer, it kind of works itself out so that we have off during the week and we can spend some time with my daughter then. That being said, it's constant tag teaming and looking at our schedules ahead of time and figuring out who's going to watch our daughter here and there. And because my wife is also a musician as well. She's a band teacher, and she's even going to be in a musical here at the end of the month. So she's been busier than I actually have been this past month. So I think this is just the taste of what life is really going to be like for the next couple of years, and it's a new process for sure. So
Yeah, if you guys have questions, just call me.
for Ella to watch her, sounds good. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. She needs babysitting money.
Yeah,
College doesn't pay for itself.
Darn tootin'.
Since we were talking, since I brought it up, everybody chanting Jake's name. Maybe you guys don't get it as much, but what is there like a memory of like a weirdest request you guys have ever got from someone in the crowd or just like a fan in general?
Oh,
or is
I wish
that
I could
more
hold
so
up my
to ask
phone.
the two lead singers?
I wish I could hold my phone up with it saying Creed. That was like a whole summer of just the Creed requests.
Wait, are we talking music requests?
any type of request.
Yes, Eric. Music requests.
Okay.
I think as far as like fan interactions, I think one of my favorite ones is the opposite of Jake's experience, where people don't notice me. Having the bass guitar is kind of like a invisibility charm. But we're down in Fond du Lac. We had just played a fundraiser. We're at that hotel in downtown Fond du Lac, sitting in the bar after the show, and there are a bunch of people that were at the event hanging out, and they went up to Steve, our singer at the time, and said, "Oh, you guys were great." And went up to Eric He said, "Oh, you guys were great." And he went up to me and said, "Weren't they great?" To which I promptly agreed, "Yes, they were fantastic."
Yeah, the standing joke in the band is that whenever you put the bass guitar on, you become invisible.
How often are fans reaching out to you guys? Or I guess, do fans reach out to you guys like separately to suggest songs? And actually, I'm going to say I'm guilty of it. I think I've messaged you guys before when I first saw you guys and suggested music for a sushi restaurant just because of the horn section.
Oh yeah. Side note,
That
Adam,
would be
my
fun.
wife has an arrangement of that for a brass band. If you like, we
Okay.
have an arrangement of it. Jake and I have played it in our basement here for fun. So
Okay. I was going to say, it's just like one of those songs I heard. I was like, this is like a perfect Boogie and Yo-Yoz song.
We do
But
get
do you-
requests. I would say my prime source of requests that have been successful have been my wife and my children. My wife suggested Footloose back in 1997, and I think we have been playing it ever since. And then my daughter Olivia, and then a recent one is my daughter Olivia. Her and John Legia can fight this one out as to who requested it first, but The Chain by Fleetwood Mac was one of my daughter's, who was her walk-up music for at bats was The Chain by Fleetwood Mac. And it was cool because they would start playing and she'd walk out of the dugout and all the parents would be like, "Really?" I'm like, "Yeah, I raised my kid right."
Phenomenal intro. Since you're talking about it, what does the discussion around set list and learning new songs kind of look like? I know the last couple years you kind of, I don't know how much of that is just for show on stage, but you basically say, Lorenzo and Jake and John kind of brought in some of these new rock songs. So does everybody have a hand in that plate in like getting their voice heard or their song on the set list?
I'd say mostly, yeah. We just kind of funnel it all off to Kevin, and then Kevin kind of decides what we do. It used to be a bit more democratic. It, and it's actually kind of floating back around the democratic way. But at one point, I remember there being when we had previous lead singers, not even well before Steve. Actually, the song list was kind of dictated by me, and then by what we thought that the band was, right? And then we tried voting, and then that didn't work all the greatest. People would start lobbying for stuff, and then finally, I relinquished the reins to Kevin, knowing full well that he's a better musical mind than I do. Plus, I felt like he really got what Boogie was all about. And when we started funneling all the music to Kevin, I'm like, yeah, Kevin gets it. And Kevin's really good at like figuring stuff out and figuring out parts and understanding things. And so right now, and correct me if I'm wrong, Kevin, but it's pretty much just funneled towards you, and then you take suggestions and advice from everybody, but ultimately, you put everything together.
Yeah, I mean, what am I looking at here? About this year's suggestion list was about, I don't know, 30 songs deep. And so you can't learn 30 songs in a year. We just not enough time to do that. But I actually, you said the voting thing didn't work, and it's not so much a voting thing, but I do say like, okay, what are your feelings about these songs? Like you don't have to vote, but I want to see which ones get the most reaction, that kind of thing. And so yeah, I mean, I still keep a list, and that's what I just held up before here. But and it's like, okay, well, and it's not just the band members though. That's the hardest part, is that like we all want to play the stuff we want to play, but we have to think about the other the other half of this is, what does the crowd want to hear? Because there's plenty of songs that we would like to play that we know the crowd wouldn't like, so we have to like suck it up and not do them. But and then finding the balance between, okay, we're a variety band, so we have to balance between the pop stuff, the country stuff, the rock stuff. Not only that, but like the new stuff, the old stuff, the in between stuff, like
Fast stuff, slow stuff.
Yeah, fast stuff, slow stuff. I know that. And horn songs, now we have a violin player, so we have to do violin songs, like find the balance there. That's the hardest part, I think. But like, we had lots of 80s type things, and then we had lots of today type things. We found that we were missing that 90s and 2000s kind of era. And then that's where we started to fill in those holes, I think, in the last couple of years with the Jake, John Lorenzo thing you're talking about. I still think we need more 90s maybe, but
I think some 70s wouldn't hurt either.
70s, yeah. I mean, that's,
the good stuff.
Yeah, well, I know that's the thing. And the nice thing is that some of the kids these days are starting to appreciate, like your daughter, appreciate the stuff from the 70s and 80s, because if we just went off of the crowd that liked the 70s and the 80s, well, those people are all now in their 60s and 70s, and they're not the ones. They're at our shows, yes, but we have to make sure we cater to the ones that are still in their 20s and 30s, because that will give us longevity. And, we're going to keep this band around forever. I mean, when I'm dead, I'm assuming this band's got to keep going.
Well, yeah, we've all produced the replacements.
Yeah, right.
Milo hopping on drums.
Yeah,
that's right.
Funny story about kind of the younger kids kind of bringing up old music. My nephew, who's in high school, just I think it was last year or something like that, was like, hey, I just found this sweet new song. I bet you never heard of it. I was like, okay, what is it? And he's like, Gangster's Paradise by Coolio. I was like, buddy, you were not even a twinkle in your dad's eye when that came out.
Yeah, you were jumping from, never mind.
Right. So in the era of Boogie and the Yo-Yoz, because you guys play private events, what's the smallest and biggest crowds you guys have ever played for?
Whew. Smallest? Oh, I know what that one is. This might have been when we were in our there was two shows. It's a strip club now. It's called the Peppermint something or other. And it's down by Nina somewhere down there. And before that, it was some kids like nightclub. Was it Expressions? No, that was the one in.
No, that was the one in Appleton.
What was it called down there?
Talking the one right off of 41.
Yeah. So
Peppermint Hippo.
Yes. So
how do we know this, Adam?
I drive to Oshkosh every day to pick up my son, so I see it every single day.
It's a great.
What's that?
He's
I
one
would
and a
stick
half.
to that story. That is a great cover. Well done.
Well, that was probably one of our smallest ones because it was a huge snowstorm. And there was like, can I just give you $50 and have you go home? And Dave and I are like, well, we're all set up. We might as well just play. I think there were 3 people in there when we played. And then the other one was Cocktails in Pulaski, which is no more, something else now. But yeah, the guy was on the verge of the owner of the club was on the verge of getting lucky with some lady at the end of the bar and said, if I gave you an extra $100, would you guys cut it down? And we're like, no, we're just going to keep playing.
Oh, that's my hometown. I know that owner.
Yeah. So those are the smallest ones. Correct me if I'm wrong, Dave, but I think that one of the most well-attended shows was probably A-Bait in Iowa.
I was going to say A-Bait.
Yeah, that was probably one of the biggest ones. I think. I mean, we had.
We were the headliner on our night. The night before was like Phil Vassar or something like that. I just remember looking out and seeing a wide variety of patrons, some with clothing and some not, because it was a biker rally.
It was definitely an eclectic clientele, and wasn't the group opposite us Jackal one time?
Yes,
when they did it
the next night or whatever.
Yeah, that was probably one of the biggest ones that we had. I think one of the biggest ones we had for us that wasn't really like the A-Bait rally was like its own thing. It was a whole weekend thing. It was beyond that. But I feel like we had one of the catfish races before they moved it to the new park. It was just a
Yeah,
wild.
we had a huge crowd at one of those. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, but you know what? The street dances were always like full. Like those were some of the best shows you could do because they nothing better than lopping off a busy street, setting a stage on the end of it, and then blasting out into the roadway, and then having it see a sea of people. There's no better feeling.
I had to ask. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
I was just gonna say, Appleton Oktoberfest is always a huge one. Riverfest and La Crosse is
Monroe Cheese
wild.
Days.
Monroe Cheese Days. Some of the North Iowa stuff that we did with Eric talking about the street dances were just amazing. You go into these towns they have like 400 people, and then it ends up being 3,500 at your show, and it's like, where did they all come from? It's just kind of an amazing feeling.
So I had to throw the smallest one in there because my neighbor is probably he's definitely a bigger fan than I am of you guys. So he's borderline obsessed. He said if he ever wins the lottery, he's gonna pay Appleton to shut down our street and pay you guys to come play for us. So.
All right.
But so you guys, Spicy Ty, Bella Kane, Glam Band, Madison County used to be a band. I don't know if they still are. So do you guys all know each other kind of in that circuit, or is there any competitiveness with trying to like book certain gigs against those bands, or is it more like a mutual respect for each other?
My opinion is that it's a mutual respect. And is there a friendly competition? I mean, maybe.
Yeah.
I mean, I personally have been known or have a little bit of a reputation of being competitive. But it's not that way with music, you know. I mean, we want to be in front of a shitload of people, and that's really competing against ourselves, right? To do better than our last time. I will say that I've worked with all the bands that you have mentioned, and they're quality musicians and good business people, and nothing but great things to say about them. I mean, and it's almost like a fellowship when you're with them too, or if you're at a show together, because you've all seen the same kind of road stories, and you kind of hang out and you trade war stories. You drink out of the cooler, you take shots. Kevin takes shots.
What?
But no, I mean it's a brotherhood too, you know, and sisterhood, I guess. In some cases, right, Jay?
I was gonna say, Dave, you guys got to be somewhat close to Spicy Ty, because I saw Spicy Ty and Dave was playing bass for him one time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, just to kind of like build on what Eric said, I mean, for the most part, I would say that for us especially, and a lot of those bands that you mentioned, with ourselves and the bands that you mentioned, I mean, we've all been kind of doing it for quite a while. I feel like we've all kind of collectively gotten past that unproductive competition, and if there's a band, sometimes if there's a show that they can't cover, they'll say, oh yeah, well, you should call these guys, and we've done the same thing, and you kind of start to work collaboratively more than competitively once you get to a certain point.
I think we even had Eric Johnson from Glam Band even sub for Kevin once.
Yep,
he did, absolutely. Yeah. And I've subbed in for Spicy Ty a couple of times. Eric had helped out RPM back when they were still around doing their thing. And Dylan from Road Trip came and helped us out at one point. It kind of becomes kind of a big unofficial club. Like Eric was saying, you've seen a lot of the same things. You played a lot of the same venues, some of the same fairs and festivals, and then you can kind of, commiserate about the crazy fan that got backstage, like, oh, I saw that guy too. And some of the other road stories like he had mentioned. And Yeah, it kind of feels like a club to a certain extent.
We will get you right back to the Boogie and the Yo-Yoz interview, but we wanted to take a second before we get to everybody's favorite segment of Start, Sit, Redshirt to thank our sponsors of this segment, Nord Trucking in Gulliver, Michigan. At the Dodger, we love highlighting people who understand the value of hard work, reliability, and showing up for their communities. That's exactly what you'll find with Nord Trucking. So if you're ever in the UP and looking to support a company built on those same values, be sure to check out Nord Trucking. Now let's get back to Start, Sit, and Redshirt. So since I mentioned them, I always do a segment with the athletes I have on here, and it's called Start, Sit, and Redshirt. So if you guys are familiar with sports, hopefully that makes sense to you. So you got to start one, you got to sit one, and you got a redshirt one. So we're going to do it with bands from Wisconsin. So we got Spicy Tie, Bella Kane, and Glam Band.
I'm not saying anything.
Start. Do they have to sit or do they have to redshirt?
Yeah. So you got to fill each spot.
Oh, come on. How many? So there's 9 people on a baseball team. So come on. I need 9 bands.
If it makes you feel any better, I did this with a guy, Kyle Zuliger, who's from Appleton, but he was in the same running backs room with Melvin Gordon, Monty Ball, and James White. So if that says anything to you.
I can give you my take on it, and then I'll let everybody else go. So
my connection's bad.
First and foremost, all of them formidable, all of them fantastic people, fantastic bands. If I'm a venue purchaser, I'm starting Glam. I'm probably gonna start. I'm on the fence on the other 2, right? If I had a red shirt, meaning, developmental and then coming back around next year, I'm probably going to say Spicy Tie. And then I maybe sit Bella Kane only because I don't know them quite as well. And I don't know what their draw is. You know what I mean? I don't know if I'm a venue purchaser. I know that I can get Glam to draw. Bella Kane, I don't see them in like the Fox Valley as much, so I'm thinking, And then Spicy Tie, I know has got a little bit of a presence around here already, so I'm thinking that's who I would redshirt and have as a development for next year.
Sure.
Fair?
I like
Hope
it.
I didn't offend anybody.
I think that Eric just answered for all of us.
Yeah.
I think it's lovely, and I'm glad that at least one of us got the sports reference, because I heard red shirt and I thought about Star Trek.
Hey,
I was like, oh, it's the first guy on the
they're
planet
not
that
going to die,
dies.
Dave. They're not going to die. No one dies.
Well, I could do start, sit, cut, but then you get less people playing because they're like, I don't want to cut anybody. Like it's too harsh.
Yeah, it sounds like high school sports right now.
Right.
Yeah. But no, I mean, I think Eric did a really good job with that. And I mean, something we've learned too, we're all kind of different. We all kind of have a little bit something that is unique to add. So it kind of depends on the buyer, the venue, and the audience, and that sort of a thing. So
I'd like to clarify too that sitting means first off the bench.
That's right. So some quick hitter questions, and then we're gonna loop it into some teaching child type of stuff as well. So quick hitter questions, and we could just go around. I don't know if you want to do oldest to youngest again, but sure. Best road trip snacks.
Let's go youngest first. On that one,
yeah. Experts first.
Still eating
first. All right. Well, for me, I like spicy snacks. So like when I was a kid, it was hot fries, and now it's turning into like probably Takis or Flamin' Hot Cheetos. Nerds gummy clusters are always good. So probably that.
You gotta plug your new endeavor now here too.
Oh yeah. Where's your plug?
My new endeavor.
Yeah, still eating.
Oh my god. Not as much of a like eat in the van, but John and I, we just started our little offshoot, Still Eating. So every time we go to a show, we're going to try and review either a food truck that's nearby or a restaurant or something like that. And just because, we have so much fun with food, so we want to share it out. That's kind of fun.
Yeah, for me, it's well, I mean, when you say road trips, so I mean, if we stop somewhere, it's anything at Quick Trip is good, but like actual like sitting there and munching on snacks in the car, I'm with Jake. It's either Nerd gummy clusters or actually we just discovered at Easter they make Nerd jelly beans now, very good. I'm also a blow pop guy, so when because we do a lot of driving, so like Paige and I often have to drive ourselves to the shows just because of childcare and stuff so like I hate driving, but I don't know, like I go through like I don't know 4 blow pops on a 2-hour drive, so yeah, I like blow pops, but anyway.
Yeah, I don't know. I mix it up. My go-to is usually though a little bit like Bad Santa. It's beef and cheese. So yeah, I like the meat sticks and string cheese and that sort of a thing. But then it's hard to pass up a good donut. So
I'm gonna go the old standby sunflower seeds. 2 reasons: one, they're both delicious, and they also keep me awake when I have to drive the van back home.
All right, favorite song to perform live?
Still same order?
Yep.
Oh yeah. Man. Well, I mean, we just started doing Ain't It Fun, and that I think right now is probably my favorite because I get to do a little bit of everything. Lorenzo's some fun choreography. I get to play some saxophone, improvise a little bit, and I get to sing some fun harmonies. So kind of checks all the boxes, and it's one of my favorite songs. So
I have too many. I like playing a lot of them. All time, still love Dave Matthews, so it might be Ants Marching. But songs that we play regularly, probably Higher Love is one of my favorite to play now.
Yeah, I mean, I have kind of phases. I've had a lot of favorites. I think one of the ones in the current rotation that I really enjoy is La Vida Loca. It's kind of fast. It's got a fun bass part. It's got the horns. Kind of checks a lot of those boxes that make it fun for me.
I'm gonna go with one of my all-time favorite bands from when I was a kid, besides the Beatles, and that would be the Boston medley that Kevin put together for us. It's fantastic. I can't say enough good things about it. I enjoy it so much because of the nostalgia, the fact that I get to play one of the greatest rock bands of the late 70s, early 80s. It's just awesome.
That's a good point. I actually would say probably my most consistent go-to since Kevin created it as our Queen medley. Actually, it's just one of the best medleys I think of any band that I've seen in this area, and it's really due to Kevin's arrangement skills. It's solid, and then everybody does it really well. Lorenzo sings it amazing.
Yep, agreed on that also.
Thanks, guys.
Since you're talking about legends, let's talk about the flip side. Most underrated musicians of all time.
Underrated.
I got mine.
How about it?
Yeah.
Brian Setzer of the Brian Setzer Orchestra / Stray Cats. Probably one of the greatest arrangers and musicians and guitar players that I've ever seen. Jazz chords, rock and roll, rockabilly. He'll turn around and do big band stuff. Phenomenal monster player, can sing. Man, I can't say enough good things about that guy.
Other 3 stumped?
Jake?
Well, my mind, I go more towards like jazz. So thinking of like underrated jazz players, that's a tough one because I feel like there's so many greats. I would say maybe Art Pepper is an underrated. He's an alto saxophone player. He was kind of overshadowed by like Paul Desmond and Lee Konitz, kind of in that similar style. But listening to Art Pepper, he's got some really great language. So like I learned a lot transcribing him in college. Definitely not related to anything Boogie does, His name comes up as somebody for me that I know, and within certain circles, you could argue he's totally not underrated, but I don't know.
Actually, Jake, there is one Art Pepper song on my list.
I don't believe you.
Right.
A little closer. I couldn't see.
Oh, it's on there. Just trust him.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Oh, that one didn't make the cut.
No, it's that one in C minor.
Yeah. Oh,
C minor.
C minor, saddest of all keys.
No, that's D minor.
D, saddest.
Oh, that's
of all.
lovely. What's this called?
All right. Maybe this one will be a little bit easier. Open for any artist, dead or alive. Who would it be?
Underrated, dead or alive.
No, open for
Open for them.
open for any artist, dead or alive.
Who do you want to open for?
Yeah.
Paul McCartney, hands down.
I would say alive because I don't want to open for a dead person.
Great dad joke. Great dad joke.
Well played. Well done.
Well played, Kevin. Well played.
I would say maybe Billy Joel.
Ooh, that's a good one too.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be a good one.
Like 80s Joel or like all Billy Joel?
Oh, all Joel.
Okay.
I don't pigeonhole myself to just the 80s Joel.
We only play 80s Joel.
Yeah. Or maybe like a punk rock band like Simple Plan, Bowling for Soup. Those guys are so fun. So that would be great.
Well, I mean, one of my favorites would be Rush. We totally wouldn't be able to fit in their crowd or their market necessarily, but then I'd be able to sit and watch them play when we're done.
We fit anywhere, Dave.
Well, true.
So obviously we talked about who has kids, but and Jake teaches them. So what has music taught you about life that you couldn't have learned anywhere else?
Ooh, that's a good one. I'll go. Something that I learned through music, and just in general, being in a band counts as that, right? It's no secret that some of us in the group, may or may not have had stable, lives, whatever. Being able to count on people and the teamwork that's involved with putting together a show, a song, just the sense of accomplishment you get when you complete a song and you know that these people around you, you can rely on them, learning that, not having to be self-sufficient your entire life. Like, for example, we lived in the middle of a farm field with nobody nearby. I had 0 friends around. So it was very lonely growing up and didn't have a lot of direction, right? So when I got around these people, I learned a lot about life in general from being in a group like this. I learned how to interpret music theory by just listening to these crazy SOBs talk all the time. I had no idea what it meant to go 1-4-5 or 1-6-5-4 or whatever, but now I can speak in numbers. Thank you, band and Sesame Street. So, I mean, just life skills in general that I've learned from being in this band has been unbelievable.
Anyone else have anything to add?
I'll jump in because I would totally agree with Eric. There's a lot of that, like life skills people don't realize. I didn't realize when I was getting into music that's what it would teach me. Is like, you have to be dependable for the group. You have to be dependable for the audience. And if an opportunity presents itself, you need to go out and grab it. You need to make sure you work your butt off to make sure that, it's yours. And I feel like also in today's day and age, it's the best opportunity to disconnect, get off of your phone and just be present with the people around you. And just how to connect with people, both in the band and in the crowd. I feel like I'm very fortunate with the life that I have right now because I get to go to work, so to speak, but my work is setting up a bunch of instruments and jamming with my friends and then seeing other friends in the crowd. And I get to travel around and try new food, see new places, and that's built into my life. So that has been amazing. And I know that not everybody gets that opportunity. So I'm super grateful for that. But it takes a lot of hard work to get there. So just making sure you put in the work so that you can reap the rewards.
Yeah, I'd have to say it's kind of similar with that too, and seeing it with my own daughter, who's now pursuing a career as a music educator as well. Just how to what it can do for a person as far as work ethic and sticking with something, and you commit to it and you're like, okay, well, I have a performance, I can't bail out of it, I gotta, no matter how tired of it or how frustrating it is, I gotta push through it, I gotta practice, I gotta keep doing the reps, I gotta get in there and do what I told these people I'm going to do, and then have that product at the end. And I think it teaches a lot about yourself. I think it teaches you a lot about your neighbor. I think if you're open to it, the arts in general provide a unique opportunity to kind of connect a lot of disparate people. My day job is as an arts administrator for a little presenting house in Oshkosh, the Grand Oshkosh, and one of my favorite quotes about theater is that someone is using for promotion at the time, and I can't remember who was doing it, was come sit in the dark with strangers. And you get to do that, and you're not going to know who's next to you, you're not going to know who's in front of you, but you all get to witness and experience this collective thing that's happening live and in front of you. And again, that's the same thing that Jake was talking about getting away from screens. You're faced with these people singing and working and dancing and emoting and doing their thing and presenting some sort of an experience for you, and it's all right there if you're willing to let it in.
For the dads, what's been more nerve-wracking for you guys, your first ever live show or watching your child perform or play sports for the first time?
I would say the child one. Yeah, I was nervous my first show, but I'm still nervous every time my child does something. Like, I don't know.
I'd say definitely kid. Watching them have those experiences, because when I was doing it and having my first experiences, I was too stupid to realize how scared I should be. And now I know, and I'm not going to tell them they're supposed to be scared, but yeah, watching them go through those things is nerve-wracking.
Yeah, I concur wholeheartedly. There's quite a feeling you get when your son's on the mound, pressure situation, and he's just pitched a gem, and you're living all the highs with him, but in the same turn, all of a sudden he's having a rough day, and you watch him out there struggle, and you just want to take it all away from them. Same with my daughter. She's a pitcher too. I don't know what the hell we were thinking about having kids that pitch, because it's. And then my youngest, we got wise. We made her a catcher.
If I could, I mean, I'm not a dad, but like you said, I teach kids every day, and the best part about it is, as a high school band director, I get 4 years with most of these students, and solo and ensemble is, I'm sure everybody's had that experience. It's kind of a rite of passage among like Wisconsin musicians in our school system, as you go and you work really hard for a couple months on the solo or duet or trio, whatever it is, and then you go perform it for a judge and you get points. And I am very fortunate I get to coach a lot of these kids through that in private lessons or small group instruction. And then the day comes, actual solo and ensemble, and I'm watching one of my saxophone players up there, and they're not breathing, and I physically feel myself, like Eric said, like I want to, like I'm not breathing now, or I'm like my hands, I'm white knuckling, and I'm like trying to play it, and like no, I have to breathe. Breathe, because I need them to breathe. Like oh man, so that I like physically take on that. I've never had that before until these last couple of years, watching them go through that, and it's like I can't be there to help. I can't do it for them. They just got to do it, and they have to sometimes fail and learn that lesson the hard way. Yep. And so that's hard, but yeah, that's tough.
We talked a little bit about it with having kids and work in general. And then you add in, for you guys, maybe tough gigs or smaller crowds or, booking issues. with all these things that arise for you guys, what keeps you guys motivated musically?
Always knowing that my absolute worst day in the band is still better than my best day at work.
That's fair.
I mean, what?
Yeah. I would say that, yeah, it's just it's hard work. It's a lot of hours. I put a lot of time. We all put a lot of time in on this, and I'm just like anybody else. I would love to just come home from work and, you know, sit on my ass and watch TV, but putting in the work, it's the hard work that I guess begets the reward, and the reward is the crowd. And we built up this amazing fan base, and just going every weekend to see these crowds, and like just knowing that we've built one of the best, I guess I'll say it, one of the best products in Wisconsin as far as a band goes. And like, you know, there's just, it's so rewarding to see it. So that's what keeps me going. I'm sure it's a pretty popular answer, but
Yep.
Yeah.
And actually, when you're doing it, it doesn't always. I mean, is it work? Yes, but when you do something you enjoy doing or get to do, it takes a lot of that. You know, where you feel overwhelmed by using up a lot of time. It's not as bad when you know what the results are going to get you.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think I've read some books and, you know, gone through some like teacher professional development, and some of it's kind of there, but it is, you know, kind of interesting to see, like all of you guys have said, basically gratitude, like gratitude that we get to do this work. And the science shows, like in our brain, gratitude is the exact opposite emotion of depression, anxiety, anger. Like if you can always kind of go back to the gratitude of like find the positive, you know, you get to make music, you get to travel, you know, find something that you're grateful for. It's really hard to get bogged down in all of that other stuff.
Is there a song that you guys perform now that instantly makes you think of your family or like hits home personally for you?
So she hates. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
That we perform.
And for
Yeah.
me, or Boston, honestly, because when I first started playing guitar, I was hooked by Guitar Hero on PlayStation, and the first song I played was More Than a Feeling. I was like, I want to learn that. So started learning Boston tunes on the guitar, and then like my best friend Riley was into guitar, and he's like, I'm just learning some Metallica, Enter Sandman. So like we would go in his basement and just jam on Metallica tunes all day long. And so like whenever we play that, that's kind of like, I'm still doing this. Like this, I was just doing this in my basement, and it seemed like yesterday, and now I'm on stage. So that's kind of surreal. Those things for me are like that.
Yeah, I don't know if I have the same experience. I mean, they're all kind of nostalgia, but I'm still living my nostalgia. I mean, I started playing bass a lot later than some of, like Eric was playing when he was 5, I think, on guitar.
Fourth grade.
Or fourth grade. It was 4 or 5, something. There was a number in there. And
I was very advanced.
But you know, I didn't start playing bass until I was like probably 17 years old, and I joined Boogie when I was 19. So I mean, I was kind of creating myself as this thing was being created. So it's all kind of locked in that way for me.
There's one in particular. I'm sorry, Kevin. You go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say I have a cop-out answer because we only play it once a year, but for the Christmas show, there's a song that was written for this exact reason, about feeling nostalgia about your childhood, you know, growing up and Christmases through the years. So Christmas with You does it every year for me. Brings me up.
Yeah.
There's a song that we used to do every year. We haven't done it in a couple of years now, but I don't know how much of the history you know of Boogie, but we have done a song called "I Can Only Imagine" on a few times because one of our former members passed away at an early age. He was 47 years old. His name was Bill Tesh, and very Christian, devout Christian, God-fearing, family man, loved his family. His wife, Linda, also recently passed away, and she had cancer. And we would always do that song as a remembrance. And I don't think there's been one time on stage that I haven't cried when we played that song.
It's a great song too. Flipping it to the teacher here, because we were asking some dad questions. I gotta give the props to the teacher as well. Was there a moment for you teaching where you realized that it was making as big of an impact, or maybe more so than you performing?
That's a great question. I would say it's maybe not one specific moment. Well, I guess recently there is more singular moments, but kind of going back to like seeing the kids progress throughout their 4 years of high school and watching them come in as freshmen and they're not really sure. They're still kind of figuring themselves out. What do they like? Where are they going to gravitate, which groups are they going to be with, and then watching them just kind of like slowly get hooked, or some are instantly hooked by band, by music, and that just kind of takes over their whole personality and they just become tiny adults, just ready to take on responsibilities and dig in and learn and practice really hard. So I've seen a couple of kids that come to mind that just all of a sudden you couldn't get them out of a practice room. They're in there constantly. And by the end of the year, it's like you're a different player. Like, that's incredible. Recently, I had a student who just composed a piece of music. He wrote a big band tune in his senior year as like a fun senior project. And he dedicated it to me. And that was like a big moment of, wow, okay. It kind of hits me more of the impact that I had. Like I thought we were just having fun learning music, teaching him bassoon, and picking each other's brain on what we like to listen to and composition. And then at our last jazz concert, he's like, "Oh, I actually made this really big project, and I want to give it to you." And that was incredible. So stuff like that. And then at this last concert too, my job is being shifted for next school year due to referendum failings and financial things in the school system. So all of the students, freshmen through seniors, have gone out of their way to make me feel appreciated in a bunch of different ways. So I don't know if any of them will ever watch this, but if they do, I hope they do, and I hope they know how grateful I am.
We're going to promote this.
Yeah, sure.
That's actually a perfect segue into the final two questions. Honestly, I could probably go for another 2 hours here. As Eric would say, I could play until they told me to stop. But so if for you, Jake, if the kids you teach, and for the dads here, if your kids somehow come across this interview, the ones that are of age now, but for Kevin, when they turn 18 or come of age, what is one thing you hope they take away from this?
I'll just kind of wrap up my points, I guess. Gratitude, hard work, and just being open and flexible to new experiences, new people, and just enjoy what you do and never take it for granted, because at any moment it could shift and things could change and you might not get that experience anymore.
Yeah, I think one thing, especially with my own family, is you kind of you'll miss 100% of the chances you don't take. Eric's got kids out in college on scholarship. I've got one on scholarship, and there's always that self-doubt. I was like, oh well, should I even apply? Am I even going to make it? Well, you got to get out there. You got to put it out there and see what happens, and make your own opportunities. And kind of what Jake was saying, being grateful for the opportunities that your vocation provides you, and finding joy in it and working hard at it. Yes, it's fun, but if you put the work into it, it can be a lot of fun. It can provide you a lot of different opportunities that you normally wouldn't be able to have, especially in music and the arts and that sort of a thing. It's taken me across the country and provided me opportunities to play at that at events that I would never either be invited to or be able to afford. And keep working and go for that opportunity if it presents itself, and enjoy it when you've put that work in and you win it.
Yeah, I have a cliche answer. I guess it's basically you get out, what you put in. So I'm also a teacher of just a private drum instructor, but like it goes for my daughter as well as it does for my students. But I tell my students all the time, it's like whatever work you put into this is what you're going to get out of it. You can show up here every week and not practice. You're going to progress very slowly or not progress at all. Whereas the ones that practice their butts off are the ones that are obviously way ahead. But like that's so if I want to speak to my own child, she needs to hear this actually right now, because she's a yeah. I think she's in bed now, but she's a kid that a lot of things came easy to her early in life, and so now that she's getting older, she thinks everything comes easy, and so anything that requires a little bit of work, she doesn't want to do. So it's like, oh, okay. So yeah. So anyway, you get what you you get back what you put in. I don't know. That's you reap what you sow. Is that the cliche answer? There you
Yeah.
Also true.
As far as, like if I want to promote this to my kids or my kids' friends or things like that. I mean, I use the success that Boogie has had through the 31 years that we've been together as kind of an example, and I relate it to them in their sports and things like that. There was a time, when this group and the people in it consumed me, to the point of where I was, really just the drive of wanting to be the best at what we do and have those crowds and things like that. And I would work hours upon hours, not even feeling like it was work, because I was doing it to try to better the band, coming up with ideas for shows, coming up ideas how to promote the group, coming up with those, the newest and best things for our production and things like that. And when you let something like that kind of drive you, it's that inner drive, right? That inner drive is what can take you to the next level. And I use that with my son in his baseball, and he ended up getting 75% ride to an NAIA school, and those are the examples that he had. And I would preach this to him on the mound. I mean, you got to work hard. You have to work hard, but you have to want to put the work in for the sake of doing the work, not for the sake of the results. You have to enjoy the actual process. And thank God that we've been a band as long as we have, and thank God that we've had members that didn't make it feel like work. It was so easy to get that kind of drive going, because everybody in this group has, from day one, has been fantastic. Okay, so there were a few hiccups here and there, but that's life, right? You end up with a few bumps in the road too. So I mean, all of the life's lessons can be taught in either baseball or being in a cover band.
Same thing, pretty much.
Yeah.
So then my final question I normally ask, because it's normally athletes how they think the Wisconsin team's going to do in the upcoming year. But we'll since you guys are still kind of in the youth of your guys' season technically, how do you think your season's going to do? Any upcoming shows or anything that you're most excited for?
I'm excited for. I'm a sucker for Monroe Cheese Days. That's a big one, and it only happens every other year. And that one, so there's a big three for me for right now, that I can think of on the spot: Monroe Cheese Days, Lacrosse River Fest, and then the summer send off. At Paper Fest, I would suppose comes in there too. Okay, Cheese Fest. All right, all of them are very, very, very important.
Are you just going through all your clients right now? Yeah.
Seriously, Monroe Cheese Days is because it was such a surprise for us when we first started doing it, how huge that event actually was. And we built that one on our own as far as making a name for ourselves in that part of the state. So that's kind of one of those, we earned it and we want to keep it and we want to, continue to do well down there.
Yeah.
I guess like you said, like, how do you think our season's going to go, quote unquote? And like, so I guess for me, it's not specific shows, but what I'm most excited about this summer is just the new stuff we're trying to do right now. The last couple of months, we've been not only adding new songs, but also kind of upgrading old songs to like put a little more spice on them, that kind of thing. Like the choreography, especially that Lorenzo's been bringing to the band, is very impressive. I mean, it's impressive to me, but the fans really seem to really get into that whole thing. You know, people hear with their eyes a lot, so they're like, "Whoa, that looks so cool!" Like, but so yeah, I'm just excited about all the new things we're trying this year. I think it's going to be a really good summer. I think we'll go undefeated.
Yeah.
There you go.
Kevin, Dave, and myself like standing on the side and watching the choreography.
Yeah, exactly. I can't.
I was gonna
Yeah.
say, has anyone else in the band tried that jump that Lorenzo does?
Hey, I used to back in the day. I used to jump off Kevin's drum riser and land on the front of the stage. I forgot what did I do that for? Do you remember?
No, but I remember you tried to jump over a river too, and that didn't work as well. But
Yeah, that one did. Yeah, I cut my foot up pretty good on that one.
Okay, sorry, I digress. All right.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think I also think we're going to go undefeated this summer. But I think probably what I'm most excited about is that this iteration of Boogie and the Yo-Yoz, this band, these people, the cohesion and musicianship is probably the best that we've ever had. And it's not to discount any of the former members. We've had a lot of great iterations of Boogie and a lot of great people in and out of the band over the years, and everybody's brought us to this point. But right now, every night I feel like we're just cooking on stage, and it feels good. It's fun. The crowd is reacting, and the new songs that are coming are great, and the revamps are solid, and it's gonna be good.
Yeah,
Jake.
That's right.
And I would just kind of agree with everything that's been said. We stand on the backs of giants, so credit to the OG and longtime members for building this machine, and now it's up to us to not only keep it running but keep it moving up to the next level every night. And it's, I think, another thing that I've noticed in my last 8 years, something like that, is not maybe a shift in fans, but more fans and more consistent fans. There's more that, I mean, they come to almost every show, or they're at every other show, or at least one a week, and seeing that dedication is really cool. And I think that's a sign of we're doing something unique and special, and not just putting on a cover band performance, but also like crafting a community around music and around peace, love, and all that good stuff, right?
Jake, I don't want to make you feel old, but you've been in the band for more than 9 years now.
Wow.
Have I really? Wow. I guess that makes sense though, because
And still no gray hair, jerk.
well, it's in the beard.
I got it all. I just take everybody's gray hair. I'm actually 25.
That's why I get my hair highlighted.
So peace, love, and all that good stuff. That sounds like a perfect wrap on the episode. Huge thank you again to the members of Boogie and the Yo-Yoz taking the time to talk parenthood, music, and life, everything in between. As always, on Wisconsin. Thanks, guys.
And
Thank you.
the Bears.